Hey everyone, my name's Pete. I'm working on Beetmash, which is a tool for creating AI behaviors in games and robotics. As you can see, we've got a little agent here who's wandering around and finding some flowers to pollinate and then pollinating them. And so this tool is for creating behaviors like that, whether it's for a game, an NPC, or whether it's in a robot, something like a Roomba, like when should it be turning, when should it be searching, when should it be going back to the dock, those sorts of AI. And I thought maybe I'd better just give a quick overview of the kinds of behavioral AI because it is a broad industry. There's a lot of ways to approach the problem. Okay, so on the very left here, we've got what we call hard-coded AI. This is very much how people will start writing. You know, it's like I got my editor, whether it's Arduino or Scratch or any language. I'll start authoring my behaviors. You know, if this, do that, otherwise do that, that sort of thing. It's very quick to get started. What can happen is the rules can get quite intertwined and difficult to understand. The program becomes brittle as it gets larger, and it becomes a little bit, a little bit difficult to scale. Yeah, so that's hard coded. It's also known as like rules based or unstructured AI. And then from there we move on to what we call like state machines and behavior trees. And these are more, you still got more control, but you're starting to see some emergence. You're starting to see some behaviors. Oh, you hadn't thought of that corner case, but the AI is able to sort of work it out by itself. And how they work is you've got a bunch of different behaviors and you're choosing how to link them together. When does it go from this one to the next one? A lot like a flowchart. It looks a lot like a flowchart. And then moving on from there, we have similar sort of thing like utility and goal-oriented action planning. These are when you start to come up with a few more rules that can indicate to the AI how much of a good idea is it to go from one state to another. So it starts to become more emergent. You've got less control over it, but the AI is starting to become more intelligent. It's actually starting to do things that the programmer hadn't really thought of, or be more flexible, and also importantly more modular. And now on the very right, we've got the machine learning kinds of AI. These are your neural networks, your LLMs. You know, these sorts of things are very computationally expensive, but very emergent. They can be very clever. Um, you know, and so there is a place for them, but not in every case. You know, you don't necessarily want to machine learning on your tiny little Arduino, or if you've got 1,000 NPCs in like some war game, you don't want each of them, you know, doing some massive computation to figure out whether to go left or right. So there's a place for each of these, and often what you'll find is there'll be some blend of all of them, depending on the use case. What we're doing is we're starting with right in the middle with Beetmash. We're starting with behavior trees, utility AI, the sorts of things that are easy to understand and also scalable and modular. Okay, so let's jump into the editor really quickly. So as you can see, we've got a little, I'll hide my video for a sec. We've got a little bee floating around. I can add more flowers. I can add more bees. And as you can see how what kinds of behaviors the bees are running by these indicators. And so just get this guy to catch a bee. Maybe this one's closer to all. Okay, so as you can see, this guy, you can see he's going to a flower, waiting for a second, then collecting the flower. Now, that emergence I was talking about, you notice that each of those bees left that flower at the same time, even though they've all got to wait for 1 second behavior in there. That's a part of the kinds of emergence that I was talking about, because just by default, once they lose their target, they go back to wandering. You know, so these are the kinds of things that can happen once you start to use more structured versions of AI. And this is the editor that is going to be very handy for that. So just pause this. The other part of the editor is being able to, of course, change the structure. You know, I can add more behaviors. I can change the parameters. I can add more components. So this is where I can do all of my authoring before I put my behavior into the game, into the robot, where there's a whole bunch of other stuff happening. It's a lot more difficult to to track. So this is kind of a way to isolate the AI behavior before implementing it. Another use case for this web editor, and this is the one that as a company we're going to focus on first, is education. So this is very powerful for being able to teach children about AI in a way that's very it's just a web editor. It'll run anywhere. It'll run on your phone, and it's just AI behaviors. So it's not at the moment. You're not really. It's probably, and we're not really doing this at the moment. Is like we're not writing code. You're just organizing behaviors, changing the parameters, and this is exactly what you'd be doing in the industry once you get to authoring your behaviors. You've written the code for how to go from left to right. Now you need to um, work out when to make each decision. So that's the idea behind the Beetmash web editor. Now once you're uh, like for certain people are going to want to implement this into their robot or into their game. This is where you go across to the Beat behavior library. This is open source; anyone can access it, and this is where you can write your own behaviors. You can write your own, for example, if you've got a special motor you want to use with your robot, you can write the driver for that, connected to the behavior graph, and away you go. Write the same behavior, um, uh, deploy to a robot or a game. You can reuse the same behaviors in a robot or a game. So this is where we get the real flexibility that Beatmash is really aiming for. Okay, that's everything. So, look, I really want to start talking about this with other people. If you're an educator, if you're into behavioral AI, if you're making games or robots, I'd love to hear from anyone at all. So, please feel free to reach out. I'll leave my links in this video. Otherwise, yeah, check out Beatmash and let me know what you think.